everyone, and welcome to Green Healing, where we go on a journey together to empower ourselves, find emotional freedom, emotional healing through knowledge and alternate methods. So today I'm going to continue the types of abusers and talk about narcissists. So Narky, the man who abused me, who's also a secondary psychopath, is a narcissist. I call him Narky because he's a narcissist and he liked to be snarky. I think it's a fitting nickname and it's the nicest nickname I could find for him. I have other nicknames, not very friendly nicknames, so we'll dispense on those. So NPD, Narcissistic Personality Disorder. Narcissists are is the common term. So it's important to know that narcissistic traits can be found in a lot of people. Just because you have a narcissistic trait, or sometimes advertising is narcissistic, it doesn't mean that a person necessarily is a narcissist. So I'm going to go into detail to shed light on that. We all have a few traits here and there at different moments of our lives, and it's perfectly normal. It's a natural thing, just to have a few of the traits, either at one point in our lives or in certain situations. Sometimes a victim will mimic a narcissistic abuser as a survival mechanism. But a real narcissist, someone who has almost all the traits, is someone who is afflicted with narcissistic personality disorder. So there are certain people who are diagnosed with, are said to be narcissistic, either people who are bipolar, borderline. They're not narcissists. They might have narcissistic traits, but I know people who have been diagnosed with borderline disorder, and which is completely different. I don't know much about it, so I won't go into there, but borderline is more a reaction to trauma. It's closer to CPTSD than to NPD, where there are people who are capable of being abusive without being necessarily a sociopath, psychopath, or narcissist, but I won't go into that. Everyone has the capacity of being abusive if we choose to go an immoral route. And it might happen that someone is inadvertently abusive. You give someone the silent treatment, you don't know that it's actually a form of abuse, for example. So that's why, through the research that I've done, sometimes there are certain things that I would have said in the past that now I refrain from saying because it can be borderline abusive and I don't want to go there, So that's why I'm sharing all this knowledge with you. And though if you're wondering if you're narcissistic or where you are on the codependency line, I would refer to Melanie Tanya Evans, hashtag not sponsored. I did the test in, keeping in mind the narcissist who abused me, to find where I was on the narcissist line. It can also be done for children. You change the questions that relate to a partner to relate to a parent if it's suitable. Some of the questions won't be suitable because it's of a sexual nature, unless the child experienced sexual abuse or something. I will link it because it's an excellent way to figure out where you are on the codependency spectrum. And it's something that helped me. And it's something that a friend of mine, it helped him also with understanding if he was really narcissistic or not. Because we all go, and when I was researching about narcissism, I went through a phase of, am I a narcissist? Because these traits can be found in everyone. one or two traits, that does not mean that you're a narcissist. And in certain situations, it doesn't mean that you have narcissistic personality disorder. So this is going to help you if you're in conflict with yourself. And I'm going to talk about narcissists and the traits of narcissism to help you understand someone who might have abused you. So the link is at www.melanie, Tanya Evans. So MELANIE.quiz-npd.htm. So it's a really good quiz, and if you want to know where you are in the codependency spectrum, if you're very dependent, if you're independent, if you tend to create abusive situations without wanting to, you don't want to be a toxic person, but people have told you you're a toxic person, or you're in situations with toxic people, but you want to see where they are on the spectrum. It's a good thing to do. All right, so what are the traits of narcissistic personality disorder? Again, narcissism is caused by trauma at childhood and developed over the subsequent years of childhood and teenage years. While not all children who experience trauma, like abuse, exposure to narcissism, exposure to psychopaths, either in people or situations, parental abandonment, a severe shock, an accident, etc., those who do grow up and have NPD will exhibit these particular traits. And remember, while a narcissist appears to love themselves, they actually loathe themselves. And they live within this illusion, selecting their enablers to suck their energy and feed that illusion, to fuel the illusion further and keep that illusion alive. The illusion of them actually being such good people and the best at what they do, while behind closed door they are manipulative and abusive and self-loathing. All right, so narcissists tend to be very controlling. They have an exaggerated self-importance that they show to the world. They are struck within ideals of success, power, beauty, intelligence, romance, etc. So they have ideal ideas of these things. They require constant attention and admiration from others to compensate for their lack of self-admiration. They feel entitled, yes, very entitled, and expect the utmost best treatment, while they treat most of us like... There is what is called the love bombing phase. So they will tell us everything they will know what to say, what we want to hear, what we need. They will bomb us with attention, affection, and love. It's called love bombing. And then they're going to take that away. And we're going to have to do things to earn the right to have that. They will deprive us purposefully. So after the love bombing phase, they expect the best treatment, and they're entitled, and we have to earn our right to get their attention and affection. They lack empathy, like psychopaths. They take advantage of others and manipulate them, though they tend to envy others and even feel jealous of others. They are arrogant on the most part. They exaggerate their talents and achievements and self-importance. So it's very exaggerated. Many NPDers will easily feel rejected. So if you've been with someone who blamed you of rejecting them, when they're the ones rejecting giving you affection, they will justify your so-called rejection. And maybe you just, maybe you're 5 minutes late. It's a rejection. They're going to use that to manipulate you. But they might actually feel rejected for real, which is kind of twisted. They seem quite obsessed with themselves. They respond very poorly to criticism. Yes, if you criticize them, watch out. They respond very poorly to criticism, being angry, and will humiliate and even go as far as to shame others. And I remember Narky trying to put me down in front of his friends, and I rebutted something because of a grammatical nature. So he was trying to put me down on a language issue because of something I had mispronounced. And so I rebutted certain grammatical errors that he does. His friend laughed at him, and he felt, he tried to one up, and he was like, "Shut up, you," and calling me names, and, trying to put me down, where I went to school, my type of education, my upbringing, to compensate because I had actually one-upped him in that moment, which I should have just removed myself from the situation. And, but in being manipulated, I felt that was the only thing I could do in that situation. And it was a total flip, he was laughing at me, I one-upped him, his friends laughed at him, and he was like insult after insult, put down after put down, and to overcompensate. So that's something you'll be able to observe if it has happened to you. They expect others to agree with them all the time. They're going to contradict themselves, and every time they do, you have to agree with them. And if you don't, they're going to get upset or emulate being upset. They tend to be easily hurt. So sometimes narcissists actually don't act the hurt. The slightest little thing will hurt them. But I mean, when you're a victim of abuse, triggers will hurt you, but you're not going to blame the other person. You're going to react the way you should have reacted back then. But you kind of know the difference between someone purposefully hurting you and you being hurt from a situation. And you're going to know how to express yourself. You're not going to necessarily accuse everyone from like a conspiracy of trying to hurt you and use that to justify hurting them back. That's what narcissists do. They may monopolize conversations and put others down to make them seem inferior to them. So they'll make you seem inferior to them, and usually in a passive-aggressive way. Although if you one-up them, they might get actively aggressive. If they don't receive special treatment, they get angry and impatient. If you stand up to them or play them at their own game, they will react with rage. They have secret feelings of shame, insecurity, humiliation, and vulnerability. And also something that I've learned in recent years, because narcissistic personality disorder, they're going to feel like they're crazy, but they're going to imply that you're the crazy one. And that's something that Narky always did. Whenever I confronted him or pointed out something that he did that was unfair to me or poor treatment towards me, he would imply that people like me get locked up and that I owe him for not calling the authorities. And for a long time, I had this intense, severe fear of even going to a therapist, that I was going to get locked up in an insane asylum, that I was insane. But see, reacting to trauma and having a mental illness like CPTSD is not the same as insanity. And narcissistic personality is a form of insanity, as many specialists point out. And so because they're not functioning normally in society, they have to create everything so that you can't function normally in society. I don't function normally in society because of CPTSD, not because I'm crazy, like the narcissist would imply, but they will use that as a way to manipulate you to get you to do what they want, for you to believe that you owe them, because they feel that they are crazy and they fear being discovered. So their illusion is that they're normal and you're crazy, and they're taking care of you. They're saving you from yourself. Again, the manipulation, moral, morality, right or wrong, truth, untruth, the manipulation of the natural law. So hopefully that can help you identify if the person who abused you is a narcissist or not. In future videos, I want to talk about the triangle of melodrama / triangle of hell, the savior, aggressor, victim complex thing. And I also want to talk about different types of abuse. I will get into that. I'll get into more healing through humor capsules. I think a bit of humor will be good after all this intense stuff. But I'll get into that and different types of abuse that might help you identify types of abuse that you might have experienced. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and don't hesitate to share this content with anyone who you feel will benefit from it, who you feel could use some support in their healing journey, as well as we journey together to find self-empowerment and emotional healing and emotional freedom. If you want to support me, I will link my PayPal tip jar, my crypto wallet, Bitcoin, and you can also follow me on Patreon and become a patron. I will work on having more special content on the Patreon, but right now Patreon is a platform where if you want to contribute a small amount every month, you can do that, but the PayPal tip jar is there if you want to do just the one contribution. And in the meantime, stay well, stay healthy, empower yourself, and be emotionally free. And I'll see you all soon.